Hey, welcome guys to what has been once called by me, of course, the greatest show on earth, right here every Wednesday around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Well, I take that back, right about every other week. I got a couple comments asking about making sure that they know when this stream is, and usually, like I said, every other Wednesday about 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But the best way to know is down below. If you click that bell, it gives you notifications every time I go live. If you want to know in advance of when I'm going live, Facebook, the link is down below, as well as Twitter is usually where I'll tweet out or put a post out whether or not I'm live streaming that night. So that way you guys don't miss it. You know what's going on. Like, for example, I was supposed to stream last week, but I'm now kind of getting over the flu. I don't know if you can tell, I'm a little bit congested, but mostly past that now. It's been a couple weeks, so thankfully feeling better, getting up to it. I didn't want to have to miss any hiking opportunities out there, so it's nice to be back finally. It's always a fun time when we can get together, talk about backpacking stuff, and we have, since it's been a little while, we have a bunch to talk about. But welcome to those of you guys who are in the chat. Lots of people in there. Thanks for commenting. And Ron Galmore is talking about the Hydro Blue filter in the chat. That I kind of gave away 2 of them in the chat. This is about a couple months ago now. And he says it's working great. Flow rate, the Hydro Blue filters, from what I've seen, have been doing well. Just a matter of whether or not you trust it or not. And I guess you do that with Sawyers anyway. But it's a good idea. And welcome, Rabbit Squirrel, to the stream. And just joining a little bit of the craziness. Hi, Devin from Backcountry Exposure. So you see the title right away, hiking the Appalachian Trail. And right away, I'm going to let you guys know that there's no plan for me to hike the AT. But that's one of the questions I actually get the most. I know once you kind of start talking about hiking and backpacking, everyone thinks about the AT. And of course, the PCT is in there as well. But the Appalachian Trail is the one that people ask me about the most. And I would love to. Don't get me wrong. I've been in the middle of kind of binge watching. If you ever watch those hikers when they kind of vlog on their way, and they have regular video updates. So for example, Happy Hikers, I don't know if you have ever followed her channel. She just kind of got finished with the editing and releasing that string of videos where her last video was up to Mount Catadine. And so it's also always awesome to watch those guys when they do that. And I'm in the middle of watching Craig M. Spielberg. I remember him from 2016. And I really enjoy watching those guys, and they're really inspiring. I always, though, in response to the question about whether or not I'm going to do it, I would love to. Don't get me wrong. There's no way I can. It would take an unbelievable sponsor, you're out there, for me to go ahead and do something like that. I just, with 3 kids and being kind of the sole breadwinner, right now, it would take an unbelievable sponsorship or an opportunity to do something like that. So it's in my dreams, and maybe at some point we'll get there. But right now, I just have to kind of live vicariously, just like a lot of you, through watching those guys who are doing their own through hikes and making their way from Georgia to Maine. And so one of the ones I know I'll be watching for sure this year is, if you love the tunes from before, where we were talking about just the music from before that you've been listening to before the stream actually started. That's Evan's backpacking videos. If you search him out, he is planning on starting this coming season, and so he'll be an awesome one to watch as well. And so let me just check the audio to make sure everything sounds okay. And so it looks good. I just like to check to make sure that everything seems like it's fine. But yeah, that would just be fantastic to watch those guys when they go through. Unfortunately, Happy Hikers is one of the few that I've watched kind of from beginning to end, and I kind of didn't watch a little bit in the middle there. But everyone I've watched so far, unfortunately, has, when I watch them kind of live or as they go, they necessarily haven't made it, or they've had an injury or something unfortunate. So I always enjoy watching those people who I know and I follow, because it's always exciting when I kind of can watch with them when they kind of make that final approach to Catadine. So that's kind of an answer to that question. I've gotten that I don't know how many times, but I would love to hike the Appalachian Trail. It's just I don't see how it would be possible for someone like me. Let's see. Bleep Ohio is talking about hammocking last week in Ohio. If that was that, yeah, that would have been. That's because we kind of had Minnesota temperatures there for a little while. I've been able to test out back on the bed there. You'll probably catch a little bit of it, but there's a down jacket under there. I've been kind of testing out my layering system. Honestly, this has been a great time to test gear, winter gear of any kind, because I know Adam from Restless Outdoors was testing his Enlightened Equipment Conundrum. It's just been a perfect time to test gear because it's just been such crazy weather. And I know we have an ice storm and possible big snow coming up here in Northwest Ohio. So yeah, hammocking in that would not have been a fun time. Let's see. Yeah, I like watching their hikes too. Prepping for all the prepping videos are cool. And the nice thing about watching those through hikers as they prepare for the AT is kind of seeing their different styles of vlogging as well as different styles of hiking. So it's always fun to see. Keith, in Cincinnati, the current weather makes me want to camp real bad. I know, especially, right now in Ohio, you have, I think it was about 49 or so here where we're in the Northwest. And so tomorrow I think it's supposed to become close to touching the 60s. And so those of you guys who follow me on Instagram know that I'll be testing out a product here soon. I want to make it sure that the snow is gone. So I'll be running out tomorrow, doing a little bit of filming and kind of running back in, and I'll be tested later on. But just to do some filming when I can. No, I have not done Laurel Highlands hiking trail yet. It is coming up here at the very end of January, but the shelters are booked, and so it's going to be awesome. It's really going to be a cool time just to kind of see what that's like, as well as kind of just have fun with the group and kind of do part of the trail. As far as we know right now, we're not planning on doing the entire thing, just with the snow that they have on the ground. I think a lot of it looks like it's snowshoeable, and that's what most of it would be. And I don't have snowshoes. I'm not really prepared for that, so we'll be hiking kind of manageable distances if we can. Devin's buying 40-degree underquilts. Hey, it's a camping trowel, Arcana. Ricard, it's a camping trowel, just so you guys know. And so I was able to get one of those, and so there should be a review or kind of an overview coming up here soon, because I unfortunately won't have a chance to test it until a little later. But getting into the questions, one good question I had is about the kind of the GPS unit I carry. Of course, that's the Garmin GPS Explorer Plus is what I carry, because I think the first time I used that was in the Mount LeConte video. This is last spring. And so that was it's something that I really carry on every hike if I can. But in terms of when I had the subscription, now I had the subscription, I think, active in the Smokies just to test it. I also had it, the Maroon Bells for sure, to make sure it worked. But I tend to use that GPS, the Garmin Explorer Plus, as more of a backup to paper maps. I don't usually use it for pure navigating unless we're off trail. And then, you know, the Joshes will know if it's something that's off trail or unofficial. The GPS does come in handy at judging distances. Sometimes it will have unofficial trails on there, so that's really nice to have. The texting feature, I tend to use more the presets on that unit, just because texting, you can hook up your phone through Bluetooth to the Garmin Explorer Plus, and you can text from your phone and send it through satellite. That's one of the things I just haven't gotten around to doing. The presets are much easier. Texting on the device itself is kind of annoying. It's just clunky. It's not really made for that. So that's something to consider as well. Some of the videos that I had, of course, were the first aid kit video. Hey guys in the chat. You know, the first aid video you guys saw, and lots of good comments, lots of good consistent comments I thought was interesting. The big one that kind of popped out to me, I didn't think about it, is including aspirin in my kit. And those are for people who've had cardiac events, or I guess thinking about hiking, people who are having an issue with their heart have actually mentioned it. So some nurses have mentioned it, but also one of the things that they mentioned is just people who are aging and hiking. You know, people who are, I hopefully will never have to worry about that, but my family does have a history on both sides of heart disease, and that's one of the reasons I actually got into backpacking and hiking. And so that's something that's an oversight, and I should definitely include some aspirin in my first aid kit. Another good comment as well is Gauze, and I had those absorbent pads, those nursing pads that I kind of use in there for backup fire starters, as well as you know, clothing, of course. But Gauze is something that I kind of am missing from that. It just depends how much weight you're willing to carry to kind of balance out. And also a tick key. That's something I've never, you know, I've thought about carrying a tick key, but for some reason it kind of got out of kind of making sure I pack it in my gear. Just because honestly, with the use of permethrin on my clothing, I have had zero problems with ticks, and I tend to carry, you know, wear long sleeve shirts even in the summer times. I can just kind of roll those back if I need to, and so honestly, I've had zero problems with ticks. Subaru Josh, for example, has had a lot more difficulty with ticks because he tends to wear shorts, or well, he used to kind of do the zip off thing, and he had a lot more difficulty with ticks. But once I wear my typical clothes that I wear, I don't have an issue at all. Question in the chat, Devin is asking about Subaru Josh being my neighbor. He's pretty close by, a couple streets over. Why doesn't he ever sit in on these streams? I mentioned it to him. I think And you know, he may be holding out for some more money, maybe a sponsorship deal or something like that. But I've talked to him about coming in and sitting in on these streams. But usually, probably by now, he's either at practice with a band, you know, his band of some kind. Playing drums is usually what he does. But you know, maybe someday we'll have him in on these streams. Let's see, Ram. Section hiking says she constantly. I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't mean to laugh. Constantly cuts myself with my knife. So first aid has lots of bandages, tape, ointment. And you know, it's funny that you say that. I actually don't use a knife very often when I'm out backpacking. People have been surprised. I usually will carry a little pocket knife, and I will almost never take it out. Maybe to cut some food or something like that. But honestly, I don't usually have a knife on me. Subaru Josh will have one. I know Karate Josh will usually carry a Mora or something. He just likes the idea of having a knife on him. But typically, I don't have a knife on me. Hey, Kara. And protocol with dogs, even with Picard. And yeah, that's a good point, because rabbit squirrel, I've kind of got a little bit of this desire. I don't know where it came from all of a sudden. Maybe it'll go away. Wanted to get a hiking buddy, getting a dog. I just think that'd be so cool. Hey, Josh is in the chat. So he's just a couple streets over. But yeah, in terms of having a dog and having a tiki, that totally makes sense. You know, someone who I love to watch on YouTube is Frankie, with his gorgeous, I think it was a husky. Yeah, Tara, I think is the husky's name. That's how much of him I've actually have watched. But this looks like a lot of fun. Do I ever carry farm eggs? Always fear food poisoning, but farmers declare they're safe as long as you don't wash it. Bleep bleep ahoy, that's exactly what I've heard. I've never carried farm eggs, but I've heard that. I've even heard even store eggs as long as you kind of put kind of an oil over it. And as long as you carry it that way, it should last a little longer. I've never tried it. There's some things, even though I know that they should be fine for a couple days on the trail. For example, cheese is one. Sausage, like summer sausage, is another that I know a lot of people carry while they're backpacking, and just kind of because they don't need to be refrigerated. But that's something I've just never gotten around to doing. I don't know why that is. It's just, I guess I feel like when I go out, I don't want to be testing something for the first time. So what I honestly should do here at home is do the same thing with unrefrigerated cheese, unrefrigerated summer sausage, leave it out for a couple days, and see how long I feel comfortable kind of having that stuff out. Hey, Practical Outdoorist, and Josh is in the chat. Hey, Jason from Outdoor Adventures is in the chat. Yes, I'm getting very excited for this hike in a couple weeks. I'm already starting to prep. There should be a clothing video for kind of winter gear that's new to me, and I've been checking out and testing out on neighborhood walks. Like I said before, it's been an awesome time to test the gear, and so I'm pretty excited for it. Breaking in some new boots have been, at least for the last 2 months or so, and so I'm really comfortable with what I'm carrying and just kind of refining my overall loadout. My danger, just like starting 3-season backpacking, is with winter backpacking, I am terribly afraid that I'm going to bring too much or bring too many things that are heavy. Just because, you know, I talk about packing your fears. And so for winter backpacking, I am deathly afraid of being cold. You know, it's something where I just have warmer blood. I grew up on an island. Oh, sorry, I hit the microphone just now. But it's one of those things where I want to make sure that I stay comfortable and I'm warm. And once that's, you know, set, I'll be good. Their baloney should be, you know, it's another one of those things that I think would be great to take. Practical Outdoors. Hey, Bryce. Yeah, new winter boots. I think that's the thing, is I have the Salomon X Ultras that I'm kind of been breaking in, taking on walks pretty much everywhere, and it's been pretty handy. I really like them. I think they're just a little bit heavier, of course, than my Salomon Speedcross 3s, but they honestly feel like a trail runner just with the higher ankle level. So it's a mid is what I'm checking out right now, but it should be really good. I've been really pleased with it so far. I'm guilty of packing my fears. Yeah, I think everyone is. Everyone packs their fears. Yep, I grew up on an island. I grew up in the country of Barbados. So if you think about the Caribbean, how it's set up, you see, let me see if I do this right. So Cuba from all the way to the, let me use my other hand. Yeah, Cuba all the way to the west. And then as you go across east, lots of little dots, lots of little islands. we're the furthest eastern island, and that's where I grew up until I was about 18 years old. Microspikes, I actually have one of my, if you want a cringe-worthy episode, go back to my videos and go all the way back to one of my very first videos. You'll see the microspikes that I use. It's called Ice Trekkers. Catula does not make it. It's because Catula has their microspikes, and I've thought about getting those, but they also make their kind of diamond, I don't know, diamond cut or diamond grip. I have something very similar to that, and I find it works better for me on ice. I don't think I'll need the traction of actual Catula microspikes. I've tossed around the idea, but I'm not gonna go ahead and spend that money right now. Crazy Kev, I think that's not uncommon. I think a lot of people feel comfortable with that, and that's why this is honestly the first time I'm really trying out winter backpacking and making sure if it's for me or not. So it's one of those things where, like, Super Josh would agree with you, Crazy Kev, where what he likes is he likes exactly that. He likes the early spring to late fall, and when winter comes, he's done. This is kind of my year of truly giving it a go and see if winter backpacking is for me. Bryce is exactly right. That is where Rihanna is from. She's a couple years younger than me. She actually went to the same school as my brother, my younger brother. And Buffalo winters, and actually, even though I say I have warm blood and I like being warm, I really enjoy the snow. And so that's why the cold weather does not bother me. I actually, Super Josh and I go on like usually 3-mile walks every other night or so, just to kind of stay in shape, make sure I stay active. I have a desk job. And I'm actually the one who's like, hey, let's go out in this cold weather. And we just went out in that -15 wind chill, and he was complaining the entire time, but I really had a good time. It was fun once I got home. I am bringing those ice trekkers on the Laurel Highlands Hiking Trail, Meerkat, just in case. That's the plan, at least. Yeah, the Catula microspikes I've really thought about. And Barbados always on the list. Yeah, Barbados is a great place, especially if you want a vacation there. I can't recommend it enough. Honestly, one of those things I'm looking for is cheap tickets back to Barbados at some point and doing a bunch of hiking, because that's actually where it sounds funny, that's actually where I started doing hiking trips with my youth group, and we hiked. There weren't any established trails. It's pretty much bushwhacking around the coast. And that kind of, I remember even to this day when I'm being 12, 13 with my youth group and really enjoying that and being like, this is so cool when you can go out there and just kind of head out in a direction and just see something different that people don't usually get to see. Yeah, right. Josh was not complaining. Let's see. I am going to the Laurel Highlands Hiking Trail, Practical Outdoors, so in Pennsylvania. We're not starting at Ohio Pile anymore. I think we're starting kind of at the 30 to 40 mile marker. So, and then going all the way to the 70 mile mark, I believe. So going back to some questions, be sure to put them in the chat if you have any. People were asking about the length of my hammock, and it is 11 feet long. I have the Dream Hammock Darien. You guys kind of all know that, but it's just good to remind people I'm a tall guy. And so when people meet me in person, especially if you're used to seeing me on YouTube, I'm usually in this little box, so you don't think I'm a big guy. But I'm 6'1", and 220 pounds thereabouts, and it's one of those things where I tend to need a bigger, not as wide hammock, but I definitely can tell the length is something that bothers me if it's a little shorter than it should be. Still love my Dream Hammock Darien. Still have both of them. I have 2 Dream Hammock Dariens, and that will continue to be the case because they're fantastic. It's like just enough stuff. I feel like it's not one of those hammocks that have too many features or too many things. I just, if there was any one area that I would beef up, it's probably the zipper, and I've never had a problem with the zipper. I just say that because when you feel the zipper on the Dream Hammock Darien for the first time, you're like, it feels like it's going to break or not last as long. And so it's one of those things where that's probably the thing I would beef up the most. The most recent video got a bunch of questions on. People were surprised by the results, and I was as well. I was surprised that the pack cover was the equalizer of weights between a water-resistant pack like the Z-Packs Arc Haul and the Exos 38. I was really surprised at that, actually. I expected the water that was in the shoulder straps and hip belt to be a lot more than it was. So that was interesting to note too. But it seemed like the pack cover was the kind of the equalizer. Thanks for talking about that. The like button, Practical Outdoors. If you like the video and the stream, be sure to do that. It does help the channel out. And you guys have been phenomenal. Honestly, I just want to say thank you. Happy New Year. I know I said Merry Christmas already. But a lot of the gear behind me, over time, I've been able to save some of the advertising from the channel and the videos that you guys watch. The times that we had a super chat here at one point, those kind of things go directly towards the channel and backpacking gear. It goes towards gas money, it goes towards trip money. It's not a lot, but every little bit helps. And so that's one of those things that I don't take for granted. It's awesome that you guys allow me to be able to do this just by watching my videos, or shopping through Amazon and link below. Those kind of things kind of keep the channel going, and it keeps me motivated, because it's nice when I, for example, needed a really hefty down coat, or I wanted something where I definitely be warm. That's where the money kind of goes towards. So it's kind of nice to have that option. Not everyone has that option. I realize that. So I really appreciate you guys who do that. I have that same build, 2.6 fabric, 1.6. Do you have the underquilt hangers? I do not. I'm having problems getting my underquilt to attach. Any advice? So you have the hooks, Crazy Kev. Just making sure you have that, and I'll wait for the answer to pop up in a little bit. Another question I've got is about my shoes. And so, like I said, in the wintertime, I'm going to bring the Salomon X Ultras, but you typically will use the Speed Cross 3s. And so it seems like the old video that I did talking about the best hiking boots possible has been getting a lot of traffic recently. I don't know if it's through Google search or whatever, but I actually use the Speed Cross 3s, and I love them, and that's what I plan on be using in the future 3 season. The tread has not, I know people have mentioned that the tread has worn out. I guess it depends on the types of trails you're on, or if they're really aggressive with it. I don't know if you're going rock scrambling or whatever you're doing, but I haven't had a significant tread wear on that shoe yet. Something to consider with the Speed Cross 3s, and by extension, I'm assuming the Speed Cross 4s, is that you will feel rocks. And so it's not something where you have a super padded or super cushioned sole. It's something where you definitely will feel kind of every rock that you step on. It's something you have to kind of get over, and something you have to consider. So I like being able to feel the trail beneath me, and not necessarily having a lot of cushion, because I find like the one really cushioned shoe that I tried was I know people love it, is the La Sportiva Wildcats. And I actually tried that. If you look in the Michigan video, that's one thing that I really, whoa, thanks a lot, DIY Solar and Wind, for the super chat. That is my second ever super chat, and it's awesome that you guys do that. That's phenomenal. That blows me away every time someone is generous enough to do something like that. And wow, okay, yeah, thank you. And it all goes to good use, like I said before. Gear on the channel, everything goes back to trips, and so thank you very much. So Crazy Kev is saying he has the hooks built in. I push the fabric on the underquilt until it's tight, but I still can't get them to squeeze in. I'm having difficulty visualizing that. So you're talking about the push the fabric on the underquilt until it is tight, but still can't get it. Are you talking about the hooks, or are you talking about the underquilt? This is really difficult. I'll tell you what, Crazy Kev, because this is kind of hard to tell you exactly what you mean. Message me on Facebook, and I'll go ahead and respond. But it sounds like I've actually never had to use the quilts before. But one thing that's I find is fantastic is just if you watch Shug's videos on underquilt adjustment, I found that to be super helpful. Adjusting while you're in the hammock is helpful. Making sure you position yourself exactly perfectly is also fantastic. Use your kind of feet and your body kind of adjust yourself while reaching out, kind of adjusting with your hand. So that's really that's what I try to do. If you need kind of more help or tips than that, just message me on Facebook. We can kind of detailed conversation. And like I said before, I'm almost free to do that. You guys who like the Facebook page, I've gotten several messages and had several conversations with a bunch of you about different topics. So it's awesome. And I think it's really nice to kind of be that connected, because I like talking about gear more than probably other people. So that's fantastic. D-Russ asking about the beefree filter, and if you have, would you recommend it over the Sawyer Squeeze? I have not actually used the beefree filter. D-Russ, Dr. Seuss. I don't know where I got D-Russ from, Dr. Seuss. But one of the great things that I have noticed is when I watch it on YouTube, and I read a lot of forum stuff, be it backpacking light or hammock forums. And one of my concerns with the beefree filter when it first came out is whether or not it would clog quickly. And I'm noticing a few people who have used the beefree filter for a fair amount of time on those forums are starting to talk about it clogging quickly with dirty water. Whereas my Sawyer Squeeze, for example, hasn't missed a beat at all. I'm starting to see a little bit more and more complaints about the beefree filter clogging up quickly when you're talking dirty water. So if it's something where it's a good water source and you're not having an issue seeing the water or sediment in it, that's one of those things where it won't have a problem chugging through that stuff. When you have dirtier water, however, or things with sediment in it, I'm starting to see more comments about the beefree filter kind of clogging up. Bleep Bleep Ohio, that is exactly... I know you're joking about the true test of self and anger management, but that's one of those things where the video with all your gear from Walmart, a true test of self and anger management. I've honestly thought about doing a just purely budget backpacking gear video, or putting together a whole kit like that. Maybe I'll do something like that over time. Just even honestly, the budget stuff can get a little expensive, but putting an entire kit like that together would be kind of interesting to kind of see exactly how it would end up looking. Ozark Hiker, love your passion for being on the trail. What are some things that help you get on the trail more often than others? Keep up the great work. Thanks for the comment. My big thing is setting a scheduled time. And so even this, my wife is really understanding, but she does a nice job of whenever I set it up in advance. And so my big goal is once a month to go on at least a 3-day adventure of some kind. Usually I take a brief pause, probably around February, March. You won't see me going on many trips. Maybe that, well, no, I take that back. We have a trip that we're planning for February, just an overnight though. But scheduling in advance is a big thing. And so once I block out those dates, be it over a weekend, and that's most common because that's when the Joshes tend to be able to go. Once I make sure I do that, that's one thing that makes it handy for, it's on the calendar, it's set. The question is, where am I going? And so that's something that really helps me out. My layering system is going to be this. It is going to be the Under Armour, hitting the microphone, the Under Armour 3.0 base layer. It's a synthetic. And then I have my Black Diamond compound jacket, which is a polar fleece. And then I have the Outdoor Research Foray as my overall system. And I've been actually, while hiking, that's been able to take me down to negative 15 wind chill, and I've just been testing it in that while hiking, of course. Now when I stop, that actually is why I got the more significant down jacket, and so you'll see that in an upcoming video, probably on Monday. I actually just filmed it a couple days ago. I'm just kind of talking about my overall gear, but those three, phenomenal. I really can't say enough good things about it. And the one that's new in that part of the system is the Outdoor Research Foray. That is a rain jacket. I'll be using it as a winter shell. But the big reason that I switched from the Outdoor Research Helium 3 Season to the Outdoor Research Foray is because the Outdoor Research Helium wasn't big enough to accommodate the layers. So I had to order the Foray in just a bigger size up. Mr. T-Max. No, we got a little bit more here to go. But yeah, I guess we've been going for about 35 minutes now. Who are some of your favorite YouTubers, hiking or non-hiking? This is from Getbuck. So let's say hiking. I'm not going to get in trouble. And maybe he's in the chat, maybe he's not. But Jason from Outdoor Adventures is probably my favorite hiking YouTuber just because of how real his stuff is. And if you go in my featured section on my homepage of my YouTube channels, he is someone I watch a lot. I also watch, these are the people that I ring the bell for next to the subscribe button. I also watch a lot of Backcountry Exposure. I watch Bryce Newbold. I watch Restless Outdoors. I watch Bob from Ultralight 71. So I watch a lot of YouTubers. But the ones, there are a couple that I drop everything. Shug is one. I'll usually go and watch most of his videos. Unless it's like about his flying his planes. Occasionally I'll watch one of those. Jason from Other Adventures and Adventure Archives. So if I had to say top 3 that I drop everything and watch, that's who I watch. Non-hiking YouTubers that I watch, the guy who actually is so funny, the reason I started my channel is because of a non-hiking YouTuber. And that YouTuber is MKBHD. He's a tech reviewer, and he's one that I really enjoy watching his stuff. I love technology, and I love kind of gadgetry, and I watch a lot of his stuff. I also get into some of the Twitch streaming kind of summary channels. No personality, but MKBHD is hands down probably my favorite one. Mr. Dunnell is talking about seeing a budget video. I know, I think that'd be kind of fun. Dr. Seuss is, maybe that's why it went 50% off on Amazon. Dr. Seuss, going back to the Katadyn beefree, I think it will be a fantastic filter, like I said before, for those not necessarily as big of a group. If you want fast flow and you have fairly dedicated water sources that are sediment free, I don't think it'd be an issue. How far in 3 days? Usually my rule of thumb for 3 days is what I like to do personally. I like to do 10 miles a day as a let's say a relaxing trip. Now that can vary, and so once again, it goes up. In Michigan, it went up to 17 miles in one day. 15 is fine. Honestly, once it starts getting past about 17 miles, and I felt I could go longer in Michigan, it starts to get to be not as fun. I'm like, okay, I'm walking, and I have to walk to there. Whereas where I start to get 15 or 17 miles, I'm fine, I'm comfortable. I'm like, okay, that's how far I'm going. This is still kind of fun. Once again, it depends, Scott, on the terrain. And so 17 miles in the Smokies is way different than the 17 miles that we did in Michigan on the Picture the Rocks Trail. And so the Picture the Rocks Trail, I felt like I could walk for days without an issue, because you're talking minimal elevation gain, no overall issues with footwear. Weather was good. I could just fly through that. Once a month, though some are only overnight. Yep, I think good lady indeed. And I mean, I have 3 kids, so we have to plan in advance. And once we do that, she's fine with that. Happy New Year to everyone. Let's see, doing rock gap to the knock, right on practical. Jason, I watched Jason as well. Yes, MKBHD is a crispy channel. I love all those guys. So I even watched, Your Average Consumer is another one. Austin Evans with the hey guys. What camera and editing do I use? I exclusively use the iPhone 7. That is my camera. I've tossed around the idea of saving the advertising money or raising money for a GoPro, especially with winter. I know that the phone is going to have issues. It's had issues if I film for an extended period of time in extreme cold. But we'll see. That's what right now I just use the iPhone 7. Editing, I have used iMovie, but I'm pretty much exclusively using Final Cut Pro now. Every video you've seen for the last couple months has been Final Cut Pro. It just makes it so easy. Once you get used to it, it's actually faster on the desktop, and so I use it on the Mac, and it's phenomenal. Just there's so much functionality that I'm not even using. If you want to see people who do great editing, he's not in the chat right now, but Outdoors 55 Alex, he does mostly knife videos now, but just the editing that he does, I know he uses Final Cut Pro, I'm pretty sure. Just the editing you can do in it is amazing. I find mental mileage is much harder than physical mileage. True. See you, Practical Outdoors. Thanks for hanging out. Let's see. Another big question I got on my channel this past week is about stuff sacks. And so because they were watching my videos, I think where I was packing the Exos 38, and I also has shown a video of packing the Arc Haul. And so someone said, you probably can drop your weight by quite a bunch by eliminating stuff sacks. And to that I say, yep, I definitely know that. Let me check the sound. Yeah, so it sounds good. Let me know if it has issues in the chat, guys. I know I can drop the weight by cutting out stuff sacks, but it's one of those things where I feel like an absolute mess if I don't have stuff sacks. It's one of those things where I feel like I'm going to lose something. I'm going to lose track of, let's say, my compass or my first aid kit, or God forbid, my toileting kit. It's one of those things where I love having stuff sacks just to keep things organized. Now, there's sometimes I wish that for example, I have a Z-Packs large rectangular dry bag. I wish that I had that a little bit bigger, or they made it a little bit bigger, but I usually like that. Thanks, Adam from Restless Outdoors, with another super chat. Wow, this one is a super chat mania here. Thanks, guys. Like I said before, all the money that goes in that the channel generates, which is not a whole lot, goes directly back into backpacking gear and trips. So thanks. And that is totally not true. Make sure you check out Restless Outdoors channel. He is one of those guys that I enjoy watching because he is hilarious and excellent song choices and editing options. Man, he is one of the guys. I love watching his reviews of outdoor gear just because I laugh every time. He's one of those people, like I mentioned before, I drop everything. I'm like, what is he reviewing now? Or what is he going to do? And he never disappoints. So, hey, Brad from Full Spectrum Survival is talking about +1 for Shug Emery. Get the Yi 4K, you'll get GoPro quality, but at a third the price. So yeah, I've considered some knockoffs of GoPro too. But yeah, like I said, I haven't decided. We'll just take a little while. Most of the channel money that I've spent is going back behind me on winter gear is the big thing. I'm really gonna give it a good old college try this time around and see what comes of it. Let's see. Oh, thanks for the subs, guys. And I know I haven't mentioned it because I'm thinking about what I'm gonna do for for this, I don't know, for this milestone. We're at 4,000 subscribers. I think 4,100 subscribers. It just kind of came on quickly, and it's just fantastic to see. I mean, when I started the channel, it's not even 2 years ago yet, but this January will be 2 years, and it's been just fun to see it grow. That's not the only reason why I do it. Honestly, with all the stuff going on with YouTube, sometimes YouTube does things like demonetizes videos, or sometimes I have an issue with it. I kind of ask myself the question, would I continue to do YouTube if, let's say, all the advertising stuff went away, or they stopped letting me use affiliate links, or would I still do that? And the answer I came back to was yes. I just enjoy doing YouTube and kind of doing the hiking stuff on YouTube more than I thought I would. It's one of those things where when I started, I was like, oh, this would be kind of fun to kind of do and show some trips and talk about stuff on here. But I kind of like it for itself now, and so it's been really fun to do that. Honestly, see you, Ricard. And so it's something I'll continue to do, and even if YouTube kind of keeps acting crazy, or like I know Jason from Outdoor Adventures knows the frustration of uploading a video, and let's say it has the word bad in the name, or sometimes I'll have to tweak the title just because YouTube doesn't like the title and it flags it and it doesn't get monetized. It's one of those things where you just keep going with what you're doing, and I enjoy interacting with you guys. Last question here, and then we'll kind of wrap up if there are any questions in the comments. We're going on 45 minutes now, which is right about, I feel like, the sweet spot for you guys staying engaged. But the Salomon Quest 4D 2, people were asking about that specific boot, if it's for wider feet, and no, it is not. Actually, when I first bought it, I bought it thinking that was going to be my 3-season kind of boot, and then I transitioned into trail runners. And so it's one of those things where it's made for narrower feet. And so I've actually tried to use it in the winter time, and because of thicker socks, it just does not feel comfortable. And so it will stay like a 3-season boot if I ever need it, and that's what it's kind of used for. It's still waterproof. People excuse me, people still ask that question, and it's still rocking, still working quite well, and no issues with it. So those of you guys who are watching on the rewatch and those of you guys who are tailing off here now, be sure to support each other in the chat. All you guys who are here, I'd say, who produce videos, I watch all of you. You guys know I watch you guys on YouTube and I comment. And so be sure to look in the chat for people that you want to follow, because there are lots of great channels there. Texas Hikeaholics, I know I watch. You guys have beautiful places that you go, and you guys get to travel a lot. Scott Taylor always makes me laugh, and I love to watch his stuff with the harmonica. I know he has a trip here coming up. Full Spectrum Survival, if you want prepping tips, or if you go to Brad and Kelly, kind of going off grid, that's his kind of offshoot channel that he's done. That's a phenomenal one to watch, and I know I've learned a lot. Let's see if I'm missing anyone that I felt Practical Outdoors as well. Lots of guys in the chat who I really enjoy watching and being part of the backpacking community. If you realize when you go to other people's channels, you start to recognize names who you know, let's say even bigger channels who are watching Syntax, or who are watching Darwin the Trail, or watching Homeland Wonderless. Sleeves included as well, who's also doing the AT. Be sure to follow him as he goes along. But lots of people that are great to follow and engage with, and you kind of get to know each other. And so it's been awesome once again, guys. Another great live stream. Thanks for those of you guys with the super chat. It all goes through the channel and supporting things like gear and trips, and it's awesome that you guys choose to do that. I appreciate it. You guys have a good night. I know we have a winter storm coming up here in Ohio. They're not sure exactly what's going to happen, but we're supposed to have a significant ice event, and they don't know, 3 to 12 inches of snow depending where you are in Ohio. So make sure that you stay safe, stay warm, make sure that you're ready, you're prepared, and that's, hopefully you won't have to use your backpacking gear for that sort of stuff. But thanks for watching, guys. Peace.